Thank you so much for having me on your show.
So you are a broadcast journalism in Abuja, and that's where you're joining us today in Abuja, Nigeria.
Yes,
Uh,
Abuja, Nigeria.
so what is
I'm
it like?
actually with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria.
Yeah, that's the FRCN.
Yes.
It's really a very old institution. It's Nigeria's most established radio network, isn't it?
Yes, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria.
It's owned by the Nigerian government.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Okay.
is.
So why did you choose broadcast journalism as a career?
Wow. Broadcasting chose me. That's how I would say it. Even though that I didn't study it, and I didn't think that I would do anything related to broadcasting. The job came, and I was started with the responsibility of keeping up. So I had to grow with it. But again, let me say that it's a passion too for me, because over time I have accepted that it's part of me. I grew up watching NTA and then listening to the radio with my parents. And so it kind of molded my choice of career much later, though I didn't study it, like I said earlier. But as soon as I was done with school, I noticed that it was in me already. You know, I wanted to be able to express myself about anything. I wanted to be the mouthpiece of the voiceless. And then watching and listening to people like Eugenia Abu, Ruth Benamasi Opia, Cyril Stober, I'm sure you can relate. These people had been a part of my growing up, my childhood. And so I remember I used to virtually sit in front of the mirror reading a newspaper to myself and mentioning my name like I was a broadcaster, you know. And then I used to sit with my dad, you know, listening to Sunday Tonic, Newsline with Frank Olize, and how he used to tell those stories like he was part of the story. It was always a thrill for me, and as soon as I got the opportunity to get into broadcasting, I quickly grabbed it.
You know, it's always a thrill for me when I see a successful person like you
Mm.
start a discussion like this by giving credit to their parents. Tell me a little bit about your parents.
My parents, my mom is a nurse, my dad is an engineer in a family of five, four girls and a boy. And my father would always insist on coming out the best. He never would subscribe to mediocrity. And growing
What's
up,
that?
yes,
That's your father?
yes.
Okay, go ahead. You said your father
He
would.
would always insist that we should read novels. He would always insist that we read novels, read the newspaper. I can remember, I don't think I was 10 yet, when my dad would bring the newspaper home and ask us to read to his hearing. And when you stumble on any word that is new, he would say, "What is that? Pronounce that. I want to hear it." You know, and that actually shaped my growing up and, you know, geared me into this profession, broadcasting. I'm grateful for it, I would say. I am grateful for it.
Right, and you your career in broadcasting has actually taken a journey.
Yeah.
You started from one point, and now you're at this point. If you could, would you please just share how your career has moved to this point, where you started from in broadcast journalism, to the point where you now are?
Okay. It all started when I got the job, and I was saddled, like I said earlier, I was saddled with the responsibility of keeping up with being a broadcaster. And when challenges come, I'm not the type of person who runs away from challenges. I accept it. I believe that I can do anything, anything, as long as there's someone available to put me through and tell me, oh, you can do it this way. I'm always available to learn. So it's been a learning process for me, I would say, and we are here today.
So, if you had to do it all over, would you
Mm.
still choose to be a broadcast journalist?
I would choose to be a broadcast journalist for so many reasons, like being the voice to many out there, like being able to express yourself. And not just that, being able to touch someone's life. There are sometimes you run a show and you don't know whose life you are impacting. You don't know who you're speaking to. I believe that the broadcaster it pierces the heart of someone who is in their need. And there is a need in the society, and that is the need that the broadcaster feels.
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that. And twice now you have talked about being a voice. And the first time you were specific, you said being a voice for the voiceless.
Hmm.
It seems to me that that is a very appropriate thing to explore, especially at times like this when I read news from around the world, and I do see a lot of people who are really not benefiting
Yeah,
from the economic progress that various societies have made over the last few decades. And I know that African countries are not exempt from that. There's a lot of suffering, isn't there?
yeah,
So it will seem to me that you also see yourself as a voice for those people. And in what ways do you use,
exactly.
right, so in what ways do you use that voice?
In what ways I use that voice? Well, I will say that first of all, I am a youthful and I am a vibrant broadcast journalist. Yes, and I believe that there is a connection between me and the listener out there. And then it all begins and ends with your style of presentation and also your mode of communication. Now, I try as much as possible to play with the content. It's very important, especially content of the now, content of later, content you never know who you are appealing to. And as much as possible, I also try to have fun on my shows too. I ensure that for every time that I am on, every moment that I have to be in that studio, I try to make it count. Now, every time that I am at the studio talking on the microphone, there is something to pick from me. I'm not actually teaching my listener or my viewers because I'm not much of an expert. Yes, I'm not. It's still a learning process for me, but I am not pontificating or being judgmental at that moment. All I do is just try to ensure that there is something for somebody to take home. And not only that, I try to ensure that I put a smile on the face of whoever is listening or whoever is watching me. Because the truth is, this is like a sort of reminder to these people who are listening or who are watching me. Most often than not, there isn't anything new that people have not heard or seen, but it's just like a kind of reminder to let them know that, okay, let's take for instance, I'm on the morning show and I'm supposed to motivate somebody. You're just waking up that morning. Some people wake up and they don't feel like going to work. And then they put on their radio. Of course, I'll be there to tell you that you can be a better person today. If you get off that bed and try to fend for yourself so that you don't go around begging. I
You
don't know
know,
if you understand.
I do. And I just put up this picture because
Yes, I
I,
saw it.
right, I have seen your show well, several times. I have watched, I don't know if you know that, but I have watched several times. because very often I see you broadcasting and it's live streamed on Facebook, and I have never seen you not smiling. So, and now as you talk about how people might wake up some days and not really know what it is going to be like, and then you are putting this, so it just seems to me that you're also talking about using broadcasting to bring hope to people.
Yes, exactly.
Are there,
Exactly.
are there times when you're not smiling, and how do you deal with that?
Uh, well, I'm human. That's what I would say. Some people think that, the cares of life and the worries of this life never comes to people like us, but it does. But the listener out there is our hope. When we know that we can talk to you and you're the other end of the radio or on the screen watching us and listening to us, then there is hope. I don't need to I don't need to frown my face anymore. I just keep smiling. So they give me hope.
Yeah, one of the things that I have seen, looking at your body of work, is that it spans an entire gamut, of social life and politics
Yeah.
and healthcare and
Mm.
wellness. And these days, I see you talking a lot about relationships. And
Exactly.
one of the ones, something that I saw quite recently was you having a discussion with someone about why it is that a woman may need to hold out when a man wants to be in a relationship with a woman. And you were having this discussion, and he was coming from a man's perspective. And you were saying, like, when a man wants to go out with a woman, why might the woman delay in saying yes?
Okay. Now, why is it that some women actually spend time they stay longer to say yes to the man before they eventually say, before they eventually agree to go on a date with him?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that many men are listening now because and watching because they would like to know exactly what it is so they can break that code.
Really?
So they can break that code. Yes. So can you
Okay, the thing
explain?
is, a lot of I didn't know you were going to bring part of my show into this. Okay, but this is fine. A lot of women, need to know that they can trust the man that they are with. I mean, you don't just show up at me and expect me to give you a yes or want to go into a love relationship with you when I do not know your real intentions for me. I don't, not just I don't know your real intentions. You may say it, but I'm not sure about it. So I need enough time to convince myself that you are the right person, or you could fit into that kind of person who has good intentions for me. So that's what it is most times. And that's why the delay is there. It's not because, what did he say? He says he called it playing hard to get. But
Yes.
me, I don't call it playing hard to get. I call it taking care of myself, working on my emotions, making sure that I am ready to step into a relationship with you first before I eventually tell you yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope that answers your questions.
Yes, it does actually. And I know that there was some discussion, between the two of you, and he was saying something like, it doesn't matter how long you wait. Even after you say yes, you may never get to really know the person because nobody really
Exactly. You
knows
may
someone else.
never. Exactly. You may never get to know the person. But truth is, take your chance. I'll say take your chance. But before you take your chance, do the necessary checks so that you don't end up regretting. There are some checks that you could have done before you jumped into that relationship with the person. That's just it.
No,
Okay, now I love doctor.
so, no, but I just talked about how impressive your show is because of the wide gamut that it covers. I was also impressed. Well, there are a few things that impress me. One is to see how you use music And then I got to see another show just recently where you had a guest. And I was taken aback because you started the show by playing some music that was titled Jesus. And then you began to talk about how difficult but necessary it is to hold on to your faith, even during this period of a lockdown. I thought that was a very hopeful show also.
Yes, it is.
So do
That
you
was
want,
the intention.
right. So do you want to talk about your faith as it relates to how you see your role in using broadcast journalism to uplift
Well,
mood?
my faith most times is not imposed on the listener.
Correct.
Okay, there's freedom of religion. But again, I can only encourage you based on what I believe in, what I stand for. I'm a Christian, and I believe that there is a God somewhere who hears our prayers. Even the minutest word you say, he hears them. And I believe in prayers too. So I can only tell you my belief, but I'm never going to impose it on whoever is listening to me that you must do this, you must do that. No, I'm not an expert. Neither am I a clergy person.
You know, if I came to you and I said to you, for example, uh, the country where you live right now
Yeah.
is in crisis, and people like to hear you take a political stance.
People
Would you
like to hear me what?
take a political position?
Okay.
Would you be comfortable doing that?
I don't play politics. so no, I would never go down that route.
So,
Politics, no. For me, I think it's a dirty game, but that's my opinion. I don't know what the next person out there will say.
right. But it does, in fact, it really speak to what you do. The idea that you can actually use broadcast journalism in a way that transcends political positions and still
Exactly.
bring
We
joy to people.
encourage, especially if there is an election, we encourage people to go out to vote for the choice of candidates that they would want. Because more often than not, a lot of people come up with the excuse of their vote never counts. And I think the past and previous elections we've had in Nigeria, mostly people tend to do more of their votings on the internet, on social media. So you hear them complaining and choosing who they want to be their leader, who they want to emerge winner. But you discover that a lot of them do not take that step of going to get their PVCs and exercising their rights,
So,
civic rights.
right, where do you think, I mean, from the time that you started as a broadcast journalist until now, how have you seen broadcast journalism moved? How have you seen the trajectory from where it was then and where it is now?
Well, it has evolved a lot. It has. But again, I would say that so much growth is needed. I mean, there's a lot of mediocrity in the in broadcasting right now. I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is finding their way into the field. I mean, who probably do not even have the passion for it. They just lack, they're looking for a job, and that just came right through for them. And rather than find anything else to do, they hop onto it.
Right. So then do you think that there needs to be a gatekeeper to make sure that the people who actually represent your profession are people with credibility and competence?
I do think so. I mean, the standards they are not there anymore. What I see now are people in their raw form who want to grow into the job, who want to come into broadcasting without mentoring. But then again, there are still a few of them who, who have the passion for it and would want to see it work. And these ones actually, in fact, I don't want to say actually, they wisely go for it. They go for self-development. They go the extra mile by trying to reach out to their role models for professional competence. So broadcasting for me is a learning process, both for those who feel that they've gotten to the peak of their career, and both for the incoming ones.
Right. I could spend, I could spend this entire time together just showing pictures of you without us even talking. Yes, without us even talking. And the reason I bring that up is because with what you're doing comes some fame. So people get to know you and they get to see you everywhere. So there is a lot of glamour that comes with that. And I'm just wondering how you match that glamour with still what you think society expects of you. In other words, is there a balance between glamour and your professional role so that you can remain competent and focused? And how do you keep that balance?
Well, I'll say that I'm still growing on the job, and of course, the glamour is gradually coming in. Yes, the glamour is coming in, but all I do, I try to keep my head up high, knowing that I haven't reached my goal yet, and so I am humble. I'm humble as humble can be, because pride, they say, goes before a fall. Yeah, but I'm humble. I'm not letting it get into my head. So I try to strike a balance between it. It takes humility, I'll tell you, because not many of my colleagues, in the profession know what this humility is. Many of them take it for weakness. Mm-hmm. But I say that only humility can help one overcome the arrogance that come with glamour and the fame too.
Right. So what do you attribute your ability to do that to? The ability to stay humble in the face of fame?
Oh, well, I don't know. So many people, no matter, you know how it is, no matter how you tell yourself that you are humble or you try to stay humble, some people will still classify you as being a proud person. Yes, but I try my best to, about everything.
So let's listen to you a little.
Okay.
All right, let me play what happened in the hearing, some sound from you and one from one of the Parkland parents. And
we'll forget that for now. But what I wanted to show, which I still would like to show, is how you start your show. And you always started not just with a smile, but also talking about who you are really. And then you say to your guests, or to people who are watching you, you tell them to feel free to call you Sugar.
Yes.
What is that about?
Sugar.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have asked me how the name Sugar came about.
Right.
But I will take us back to the BlackBerry era, when everyone had a BlackBerry pin.
Yes.
So that used to be my name on BlackBerry, Sugar. I don't know, it just came up and I decided to use the name Sugar. And Sugar was on for a long time. I found out that a lot of people started calling me Sugar, 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 Sugar. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect radio name I've been looking for. And here we are, Sugar.
Right. So what do you see? We've been talking about the current state of broadcast journalism in Nigeria, and the role that you as a person are playing in that as far as your career. Where do you see the future of broadcast journalism?
Well, future of broadcasting journalism, for instance, I would say that there's a lot that needs to be done. Now, as regards learning and as regards mentoring the younger ones and making themselves available to be mentored, I'm happy that I grew under people who knew their onion. And as much as some people would say that terrestrial radio and TV is fading off, I really do not think that that is where the future lies. For me, no. Yes, the internet is the in thing is almost even taking over. I mean, it started gradually and now we are here. But again, the place of conventional broadcasting cannot be overemphasized. It still plays its role in monitoring and, of course, not just monitoring, mirroring, and then correcting the ills in the society. But for me, the future of broadcasting in Nigeria will be great if knowledge and expertise is transferred to the next generation. Now, many talents have exited without, transferring their knowledge, especially through trainings and books, where people can even get to, know from the books. We've not had that much in the broadcast industry, although the system sometimes discourages, those people whose intention is to do so. So I would say that the future of broadcasting in Nigeria is now determined by the standard passed on to the next generation of broadcasters. It's now a case of who is mentoring who.
You already know that I am a fan of your show.
Thank you so much.
Right, and I see the ways that you have moved from one thing to another. And I know that you have the pulse of the nation, and you have so many people who are watching you, even your YouTube channel. I have seen all of that. But I also heard you say earlier that you are someone who is really a go-getter.
Yes, I am.
Right. So, which leads me to one thing that you probably don't know, that I have been told reliably that you are a fan of Speaker Nancy Pelosi here in the United States. So is the
That I'm a fan of what?
Miss Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, yes, I am.
You're a big fan of hers. So please.
I want to believe that you eavesdrop on that conversation. Anyway, the attraction is just because of the name. Nancy, she seems to have the same name with me. That's my middle name, by the way, Nancy. Okay. But I don't follow her much, apart from the time she had a little. I don't talk politics. I'm sorry.
I know, because I was like, yeah, she's a tough lady, and you share.
She is a tough lady.
Yes, and you share your name. But I also want to talk about the things that you've been addressing on your show.
Okay.
I would like you to speak a little to what you see, because you talk about relationships a lot these days.
Yes, I do.
So I want to hear from you what you see as the state of violence against women in the society where you're working.
I don't subscribe to violence against women. It's a no-no for me. I mean, if you are in a relationship with anybody where the person has no regard for you. In fact, it starts from that. Someone who is talking down on you, someone who has no value for you, has no respect for you, then it's time to get out of whatever relationship you have with that person, irrespective of how much you love that person. It's a no-no for me. I stand against violence. I am against violence against women.
Have you done shows on that I haven't seen, or do you?
No, I haven't. But I earlier when you asked how I got into broadcasting, I did mention that I always wanted to be a voice to the voiceless.
Right.
Yes, I always wanted to. I've had a couple of people who have come to me, complaining of being violated. Not just being violated, being assaulted and beaten by their partner. And the best I could tell them is, you need to get out of that. You are so much better than being in that. You deserve the best. I feel everybody deserves the best. You don't need to be with an abusive partner. You don't need to.
Yeah, and I think it's important to really have that discussion and continue to have it. The reason is because I know the society well. It is a society that condones that kind of abuse. And it's not even one which many religions outrightly condemn.
No, people are beginning to speak up now. So
Right.
the society is no longer condoning such. I'm sure you see a lot of photos, gory photos on the internet of women who have been beaten by their spouses, or one way or the other, who have been beaten or abused. And people, you see a larger percentage of the society come out to say that this is wrong. Right. This shouldn't continue. So Nigeria is gradually getting to that point where people are saying no, especially to the wrong things. It's a wrong thing.
Yeah, that is good. And I think that it's a lesson that should be taught even to young girls before they begin to get into the relationships that they get into, where things like that happen. But I'm so grateful that you are doing what you're doing. I just like to know on a personal level, what do you do to relax? What do you do for fun? Because it seems to me that you're always working.
I like to dance. I like to listen to music and dance. I'm not much of the outgoing person. I go out only when I have to hang out with colleagues and a few friends of mine, but it's not in me. I'd rather just snuggle in bed, put the curtains down, and watch a movie, eating popcorn, and drinking yogurt.
Yeah, that is good. So have you ever had people come to you after a show or call you and say, we didn't like what you said on that show? We didn't, because it seems like you were attacking men, or you were attacking, I know it's balanced because you always have people who have opposing views, as your guests, you always have them. So, but I'm just wondering, are there times when people say, we really aren't happy with what you did?
Oh, well, I have never had such. But again, it's, what's the word now? It's deliberate. The conflict and the dilemma and, anything conflicting, it's a deliberate thing. I mean, we live in a society where you don't expect everybody to be of the same opinion, of the same view. So anybody who expresses themselves on my show, that's their opinion. You may have a different opinion. Yes. And everybody is free to express their opinion. I guess so.
No, I think that's the way it should be. And I'm glad that
everybody is free.
Right.
But I haven't had anybody calling me to say, no, I didn't like what you said on your show. I didn't. I try as much as possible to strike a balance and make sure that everyone is carried along during the course of the show.
Right. You really seem to be doing a great job at that. I'll tell you that here in the United States, our society is so really divided now that even the most positive thing you do can get some blowback. But I see a world that is increasingly more divided. So people like you are needed, shows like yours are needed to continue to remind us of how united we can be as a people.
You know that I believe that presentation, which is my very strong quality among other aspects of my career, draws me closer to the listener. I said it earlier that I am a youthful and I am a vibrant broadcast journalist. And basically my target audience are mostly youth-based. as the youth in the society. And so the programs I do mostly are carved around the youths who we know represent a larger percentage of the society. So I create shows that will speak to them directly and carry them along. And of course, positively influence them too.
Right, indeed. Nigeria is actually a very youthful country.
Yes.
And we're always reminded of that when it's this World Cup or the Olympics and you see the Nigerian Super Eagles playing, which makes me think to ask you, whether you're a soccer fan?
I used to be. I used to support Manchester United, but when when we're no longer, doing well, I gave up. And then at some point, I switched to Barcelona, and then I was just like, you know what, soccer is not for me. But I do play basketball. That's my game.
Great.
I started playing from secondary school. Yes.
No, really? Nice.
Secondary school, university, and then once in a while, before the lockdown and the coronavirus pandemic, I used to go out every Saturday to play basketball.
I will not require a response from you to this question if you think it's political, because I know you don't do politics.
I don't do politics.
So,
I do more of love relationships.
right. Yes. So here is really a question that if you think it is political, just tell me you're not comfortable answering it.
Okay.
It speaks to the youthfulness of the country.
Okay.
I look at Nigeria and I say, if Nigeria had a leader that could really muster that youthfulness, and really use it for something, Nigeria could become one of the greatest, most successful countries within a few years. And you are speaking to the youth and you are giving them hope. So my question is, what are you giving them hope for in a society where the leaders don't seem to think much about the youth?
I don't want to say that the leaders don't seem to think much about the youth. I mean, there was this time when the Not Too Young to Run bill came up, and a lot of youths were complaining that they want to delve into politics, they are not allowing them to, and all that. But again, I started asking myself, who is mentoring all of these youths to go into politics? I asked a few questions here and there. I just discovered that not a lot of youths are interested in politics. Don't quote me, not a lot of them. But again, I say that why I say not a lot of them are interested, it also means that not a lot of them are ready to go into politics. Are we going to have youths who are going to go there and not know why they are there? Some of them don't even know the history of the country. So it looks like some are more concerned about other things happening than the politics. But there are some, I'm not saying it's all of them. There are some people who are in the know, they know of everything that is going on. It's just that they are not given such opportunities to express themselves. And so there I go again with who is mentoring them.
Let me just tell you that there is a post on Facebook.
Okay.
It's actually from India.
Okay.
Saying, it's nice to hear your story and commitment. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate.
So, I'm so happy that you talked about history, because when people do not understand the history of their country or of themselves, they're really doomed to do things that will not advance them. We see that around the world, and it's not just Nigeria. So I'm so happy that you talked about history. And
yes, some of us, sorry, let me say this.
No, go ahead.
Some of us grew up in, we've not seen some things in Nigeria. I remember growing up, I had never seen a train. The first time I saw a train was in Dubai. I'm sorry to say that. But that was the first time I saw a train. So it's more like we read these things and we do not see them. And so when our parents talk, we do not even understand where they are coming from. They are the ones mostly who clamor for a better Nigeria. We say a better Nigeria, but most of the youth who say the better Nigeria, have we seen or tasted or know what a better Nigeria is?
That is a good question, because as you know, I grew up in Nigeria. And very often I say the current Nigeria is not the same Nigeria that I grew up in. Because, excuse me for saying that, as I did before, that Nigerian leaders do not seem to think very much of the youth, because I think that that's probably, here's the context, that it's probably in comparison with the Nigeria that I grew up in, where there was a great value. The leaders felt it was important to provide opportunities for education for the people growing up, and they didn't even really have to pay for it. And as you probably know, my undergraduate degree was at the University of Ibadan many, many years ago. I'm talking about almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, where at the time, the entire tuition, what we paid for the whole year was 90 naira.
Can imagine.
For the whole year, that's what we paid, 90 naira. And
90 naira will never get you anything now in Nigeria.
Right. At the time, we also had, the government also gave us what they called bursaries, so just money. It was really play money. There were few. Go ahead.
I went to University of Benin, and I was told that a part of the school was where they used to give free meals to students. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I only heard the story, but I never experienced it. So it's difficult to get someone to get involved into something that you have never tasted or seen. So if people say, oh, we're fighting for this cause, at the end of the day, it's going to take the people who have experienced it to start the fight first before we start dragging every other person.
Right. And you use music a lot, as I said before. And so when I saw your show, the one that I was telling you that I saw, where you talked about faith, and in this era of the coronavirus, how you still keep your faith even when you can't go to church or wherever you worship.
Yeah.
At that point, I began to say to myself, wow, because I'm a fan of the Old Testament. And I know what music meant for someone like King David. And then I began to think of growing up there in Nigeria, where if you were a Christian and you sang songs that were not church songs, you were considered
as a pagan.
Absolutely. So, yes. Right. And now
but that doesn't happen anymore. Society has evolved. Nobody is being forced into that. And even your parents, I think you have the freedom to choose these days which religion you want to subscribe to. But but there are still those very strict parents who will tell you that you must choose Christianity because I'm a Christian.
Well, I've heard you talk about your parents, and you've mentioned the word your parents many times, talking about the influence of parents on children, and perhaps also on the careers that they choose. So, what do your parents do?
Oh, my mom is a nurse. My dad is an engineer, an electronics engineer.
Right. I have a picture of your mom here. Right. So Are there times when people mistake you for sisters?
Oh, not myself and her, but people just can't believe that she's my mom. Especially my elder sister, they keep saying, you gave birth to this big girl, and I'm like, what exactly is that? So we call her vampire, like she never ages.
She never ages. Right. So I'm sure they're very supportive of your career.
Yes, they are.
As a broadcaster. And I don't know how much of your show they get a chance to watch because I'm sure they're very busy.
Once in a while, they pop in here and there, watch, and then that's it.
Right. But here's what I'm thinking when, because as parents, you're always very proud of what our children are doing, especially when they are impacting society the way that you are. So my question to you is, when you are there, where they are now, their ages, when you're as old as they are now,
okay,
and you look back, what would you like people to remember about your career?
I would love people to remember me for, uplifting them, encouraging them. I love to be that voice they always remember, looking back and say, oh, this day I had given up on life until I listened to Osen Attah, until I listened to Sugar. She uplifted my spirit. Oh, my relationship was headed for the rock. I didn't know what to do until she had this topic on her show. And I joined in and I got the answer that I was looking for. So nothing specific, but just being that voice that will always ring in the head of people, at the back of their head, and they say, oh, this person can never be forgotten.
Right. This has been a great discussion. I have loved the time that we've had together. I will say to you that I have been impressed on many levels. It is not very often that people come across someone who is as successful as you are, famous as you are in broadcast journalism, who is still as humble as you are. Yes,
Thank you.
which really tells me that not only is your head in the right place, you know exactly where you're going with it, and that you want to continue to be an influencer in the Nigerian society using your career to do so. So you come from a part of Nigeria where every name, I think it's probably like that in the entire country, every name means something. What is the meaning of your name?
Osen. Is it Osen you want to know now, or
Yes.
the whole of my
Oh,
name?
yes. That's probably a shortened
Okay.
form of your name, isn't it?
Osen means it is a short form, but I don't remember the full anymore because I think, was it primary school? I got, the full is actually on my birth certificate, but I can't pronounce it now. I got into writing Osen on all of my books and then my result sheets and everything. So my dad was like, oh, this child. Okay, since it hasn't lost its meaning, let's go on with the name Osen. And that's it. The full name actually means your character is your beauty. But Osen on its own is beauty.
Right.
And then Attah is truth. So that's the meaning of my name.
Sure. And very often we live up to the meaning of our names. And for someone with a name as yours, it is probably not right for me to ask you if you think that as you look at your career as a broadcast journalist, if you are living up to the meaning of your name. It's probably for others to tell, but feel free to answer that question.
You really want me to answer that?
Yes.
Oh, my humility will allow me to answer that. Okay, you be the judge of that. What do you think?
This is a journalist in you. This is why
I throw it back to you now.
I'm supposed to be the one asking the
I
question.
don't get to answer questions.
No, but now that you've thrown it back at me, I think I would say that the answer is yes. Because it seems to me that we really cannot be beautiful unless through the work that we do and the way that we treat other people, we make them beautiful. Therefore, you, by the work that you are doing, and you are making the youths of Nigeria beautiful because you are giving them hope. You are making women beautiful because you are giving them hope. In fact, I saw a show in which you were saying to this guy who was your guest, and you were saying on behalf of women, you said, I am gold. I am diamond.
I am diamond. Let me say this, that everybody has beauty inside of them. In fact, you don't write any human being totally off. Everyone has beauty inside of them, and everyone should place value on them. As long as you have the breath of air inside your nostrils, you can breathe, you can see, you live, you are alive. There's blood running through your veins. You are definitely important and you are beautiful. Permit me to use the word beautiful for the men too.
I think many men will be happy to hear that you think they're beautiful too. But I think in reality that the work that you do, as I said before, is very valuable. I hope you continue to do it, that you continue to bring hope to the people that listen to your show and watch you. I think that, would you just want to give a plug to your show, just so people know where to?
Okay, you can catch me live on www.clickniger.net. I'm always there Mondays through to Wednesday on the show Love Angles. And of course, we start the show at exactly 6 p.m. West African time. If you are not able to join in, you can check us out on our YouTube channel. It's Click Niger. Click Niger is spelled CLICKNAIGA. Click Niger.
Right. When did Federal Radio Nigeria, Federal Radio, FRCN, right, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, when did they decide to create Click Niger?
Oh, it's been a pregnancy that was yet to be conceived. It's been over 2 years. We've had program plannings, we've had brainstorm. It's been on and on and on before we finally launched. That was, I think, last year in December. I'm not sure about the exact date.
It is doing very well. I'm a fan of your show, and I am grateful that you joined us today. And I know I am not going to ask you what part of Nigeria you're from unless you want to tell me. So go ahead and say.
You've already asked, so I will say, I'm proudly from Edo State, from the northern part of Edo State. Yes, so I'm from a small village. And I'm proud of the village, by the way. I'm from a small village in Sabongida, Ora, Old. That's where I'm from.
in Ora, and I happen to be from Ora myself, so it's a place that I know well. I know the place well. And so when you speak to your parents, tell them that this man still believes in Ora. And so, yeah, so I have a very good day, and I know it's already evening in Nigeria, and I hope.
Yes, it is.
I thank you very much for coming. For joining me today.
I'd like to say a special thank you to my colleagues, Joy Maka, Abdul Fattah Oturi, and Mayo Washuname. We actually had a little banter on the topic beforehand, and most of the thoughts were put together by us.
Oh, it's so nice to hear that. And perhaps one day you can all be with me as a team, we can have a discussion together about
Yes, that's okay.
your show, because it is really good and I enjoy watching you. And thank God for the internet. I can be here and watch your show in Nigeria. And I do that. And give my regards to your colleagues and tell them to continue to do the great work that they're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And stay well and be blessed.